Hi everybody, it's Martin Twycross here with another video short. So the question I'd like to answer today is, can a medium make a link with the living? Can a medium link with the living? And for me, the answer is yes, in specific circumstances. So before I get into what those circumstances are, let me explain a little bit about what we are. So we are spirit here and now. We are spirit, but we are operating within the vehicle of this physical body. For most of us, we're just aware of our physical body. We're just aware of the material world. Most of us aren't aware of our own spirit, our own soul. That's something we're not that aware of. But at the moment of transition, at the moment of passing to the spirit world, it's the soul that survives physical death. We leave behind the physical body. And the soul at that point operates within the spirit world. And so the soul at that point needs to be operational at that point. And so the way I see it, and the way it's been explained to me from spirit, is that within this world generally, the soul is relatively dormant. The soul we have, it doesn't operate fully. So we don't operate as a spirit here and now. The spirit is contained within the body and operates throughout our mind. And because of that, we are less aware of our true spirit nature. But the guides have said that as we approach that point of transition, that point of passing, the spirit becomes more active. The spirit gets ready for that transition so it can operate at the moment we pass. At the moment we pass, if we couldn't operate and we couldn't understand and we couldn't perceive anything, then we'd have a job when we got to the spirit world. We'd be stuck trying to understand what's happening. So as we move towards the point of transition, as we move to the point of passing to the spirit world, the soul changes. The soul becomes more active. The soul has a greater degree of awareness. The soul is far more active than normally within our earthly life. So the first point at which is possible to communicate with the spirit of the living is when someone is very close to passing. Because if you can imagine, if there's a gradual decline and someone's ill and they're moving towards that point where they're going to pass, at that point there's an awakening, if you will, of the soul. The soul becomes much more awake, much more alert, much more functional. And it's often said when people are close to passing that they become aware of their spirit loved ones. You'll hear it said many, many times. They'll say, such and such is here in the room with me, and that person would be in the spirit world. Or my loved ones have come to meet me. I remember my granddad, I was there very close to when he passed, and I remember him saying that all these people, all his loved ones were in the room with him, and I knew them all to be in the spirit world. And it happens. I'm sure many of you will have familiar stories as well within your own experience where that has happened. And that is why that person's awareness of the spirit world is increased dramatically as they approach that point of transition, so that they are able to seamlessly function within the spirit world. So as someone goes close to their passing, they can communicate through a medium. It's as if the spirit within them is activated, and that spirit that can link with the medium is available and can do it. In my own experience, I've given links where I've made links and people have said to me, they're not passed yet, but we're expecting it any time now, or it's, they're very close to passing, they're in and out of consciousness. And at that point, there's an aspect of them, the spirit, the soul, that can communicate with the mind of a medium. I made a link with one lady who was a neighbour of somebody in the audience, and she says, I know exactly who you've got, but I know they haven't passed yet. I know she's very, very ill in hospital, but she hasn't passed yet. And the message was all about, please, will somebody look after my cat? Will somebody look after my cat? Because I'm not interested in any of my physical possessions. You can do what you like with those, but I love my cat dearly, and I would really like my cat to be well looked after. And it just so happened that this lady who the message was for loved cats. And she said to me afterwards that she was going to look after the cat. She'd made that decision that she would look after the cat. So you can see that there was a need there from spirit to communicate, even though she'd not even passed yet, just to make sure that her cat was taken care of. So that's one example of how it can take place close to passing. My wife's mother also communicated the day before she passed through a medium. We knew that she was really unwell. We knew that it was a matter of days probably. But she passed the very next day. And she was in and out of consciousness. And again, the spirit is coming to the fore. The spirit can function independently of the body. So there are a number of other circumstances in which it is possible for us to link with the spirit of those still living. And they are somebody who's in a coma, somebody who has very advanced dementia or Alzheimer's disease, where it's so progressed they're struggling to function or operate within this world. People who have brain injuries, or people who have conditions like locked-in syndrome, where it's very hard for them to express or communicate within this world. It would be a very cruel world if somebody in that situation was unable to communicate, unable to function, that they were, if you like, they were stuck. They weren't in the spirit world, they were part in this world, they were between worlds, and they weren't able to communicate or function in any way. It would be a very cruel world. So again, at that point, I believe the spirit recognizes what's taking place, and the spirit awareness rises to the fore. The soul becomes operative. The soul is able to function. So the person is not trapped within the body. The person is not trapped within a body that with their mind doesn't function. So they are able then, if you like, they're freed. They have a foot in both worlds. They're both within this world, and they're fully operative, fully functional within the spirit world. They are able to function within the two worlds. And because of that, they are also able to link with the mind of a medium. So I've been able to contact and have contacts with people who are in coma, people who've had significant brain injuries, a very bad stroke or a very bad brain injury, where their ability to function within this world is severely compromised. I've also made links with several people who've had advanced dementia or Alzheimer's. And in all these circumstances, scenarios, I was absolutely convinced I was linking with them in the spirit world. So I believe it to be true. Many of the mediums who I've been taught by, whose mediumship I respect, say the same thing. So for me, there are the four main scenarios. When someone's close to passing, when someone is in a coma, when someone has advanced dementia or Alzheimer's disease, and when someone has a brain injury or a condition like locked-in syndrome. Those are the kind of conditions in which it's possible for them to communicate with a medium. So what about people who do not meet those criteria? People where those scenarios are not met? Is it possible for people who are functioning normally within this world to communicate and link with the mind of a medium? And for me, that becomes more controversial. It becomes more difficult to say, is it possible? You know, I don't discount the possibility that it can be done, but if you like, my jury's out. I'm not sure on that. So let me talk a little bit about it, because I have, in many occasions, brought through information that is taken by somebody and they say, yes, but that person is still living. And afterwards, it's been found out that they were still alive, they're still living. And I have to then question, did I truly link with that person? Was I really linking with them? And what I found as well, sometimes spirit will give me information. I believe I'm linking with the spirit. It feels like I'm linking with the spirit. I'll give the information, and someone puts their hand up and says, in a demonstration environment, and says, I can take absolutely everything, but you're describing me. Or I can take absolutely everything, but you're describing my mother. Or I can take absolutely everything, but you're describing my son who's still living. And in that scenario then, we check does anybody else in the room understand it was somebody in the spirit world? No. And if the person is still living, or it's the recipient in front of me, what I then say is, okay, who in spirit is behind this communication? Who in spirit is giving me this information? And then you become aware of somebody else. The energy shifts and somebody else is there, and they give information and evidence about themselves. So spirit can use this as a technique to draw us to the right person in the audience. Maybe the communicator, the person in the audience, doesn't know a great deal about them, and it would be hard for them to recognize them with the few bits of evidence they would bring forward about themselves. So it's much easier for them to get recognized if they give information about either you, the recipient, or someone very close to you that you're going to say, I understand it all, but that's my mum and she's still here. And often the message might be about that person, you know, if it is about the mum who's still here, spirit might be coming forward that they're aware of what they're going through, they're really ill, they're not well, there's so much healing and love being given to them. You know, it shows spirit is thinking about them. But there's generally a reason why they're bringing through information about the living person close around you. But often the first one can be just to get you as a medium to the right recipient, which is great. The next thing they may do is they may give us information about somebody living to draw the recipient's attention or the sitter's attention to that person. And that's happened with me. I've given information to someone and they say, I'm sure that person is still living. I'm convinced they are. But then they go and look into it. They go check it out. They find the person's ill. They find the person is in need of a lot of help at this moment in time. They find the person's going through great challenges in life and they're able to support them with it. So it can be spirit drawing us to them, or spirit may have a desire for us to re-establish contact. If it's somebody within the family we've kind of lost touch with, there may be a desire for us to re-establish contact with them. So that's quite important as well. Yeah, that's happened to me several times where the person has said, I'm sure they're still living. I've lost contact with them, but because they come through seemingly from the spirit world, it looks like they've communicated. The person goes away, contacts relatives, contacts people, and gets back in contact with them. And it's, if you like, it's someone in the spirit's desire that the family's brought back together, and they're trying to enable that to happen. That can be another reason why that happens. So in many instances, I find it seems like we're getting a spirit contact with that person, but it's not. Somebody else behind the scenes has given us the information, whether that be another one of our loved ones in spirit, or whether that may even be spirit guides and helpers who are creating the conditions to make that happen. So can I categorically say that I'm linking with them? No, I can't. And I try to think before doing this video, was there any circumstance where I really felt where this had taken place, where I got contact and someone said to me, yes, they're still living, I definitely know they're still living. Was there anyone where I was categorically, absolutely 100% right within myself that I was linking with their spirit? And the answer is no. And for me, I have a feeling where spirit are really close to me and I feel their personality and I know I'm connected with them. And in these scenarios, it's just not quite the same. Yes, I'm getting all the information. Yes, I get their health conditions superimposed upon me. I get their personality. But I just don't feel I'm purely in their energy. There's a difference. So, but again, you'd have to be relatively developed as a medium to be able to sense that difference. So, as mediums, what should we do if we're working and we bring through information, the person says, I understand that, but as far as I'm aware, they're still alive, or I've not been in touch with them for many years, but the last time I heard they were still alive. What should we do? Well, the first thing you should not do is you should categorically not say, well, I'm linking with them, therefore they're definitely in spirit. That person's in the spirit world. I've seen it take place in many demonstrations I've been present at where the medium brings through information. The person says, I absolutely know who you've got, but as far as I'm aware, they're still living. And the medium said to them, no, they're not. They're now dead. They're in spirit. And the person is horrified. The person is shocked. The person is distraught. And they go rushing out at the demonstration and ring them up and find they're alive. And that medium has then caused a lot of harm, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, unnecessarily. Because that medium hasn't opened to the possibility that they're connecting with the living. So first point, never say they're in the spirit world. They may be, if the person's not been in touch with them for some time, if it's been 10 years since the last had contact, it's possible. But we cannot categorically place them there. We have to be very careful with that. But also, as well, this highlights the challenges that there exists with missing persons cases. As mediums, we have to really understand the ethics and responsibilities around missing persons cases. There have been very famous examples where mediums have placed people in the spirit world who were living. If someone comes to see you, their loved one is missing, they want to know, are they here or are they in spirit? You may get a lot of information about them. It may be given by loved ones in the spirit world. You may pick it up psychically from the recipient in front of you, from the sitter in front of you. Can you guarantee that person is in spirit? Most of us, I don't think we can. And there's been many famous, well-known mediums who've been caught out saying people are in spirit when they're not. For example, the late Doris Stokes, a UK medium, there was one example where she did that. There was also an example of a medium in the States, Sylvia Brown, who did that. So if it can happen to well-known mediums, experienced mediums, it can happen to all of us. So we really have to understand the ethics and responsibilities of that. And really, we have to be very, very careful. I see people post on Facebook, oh, this missing persons cases, what do you all think? And people chip in and throw in suggestions and ideas. And to be honest, I think really we have to work with it with a great deal more respect than that. It's not a beginner's exercise. It's not a training exercise. It's a real advanced exercise to work with it. And we should only ever work with it if somebody asks us for our help. We shouldn't be contacting people saying, you've lost your loved one. I feel they're in the spirit world because I'm contacting them. You can cause untold harm, pain and suffering, and you can take away hope. Do not do it. Do not do it. And there's one famous case I'm aware of I read in a Two Worlds magazine from about 1946, 1947, where a lady had gone to see a medium because her boyfriend, her partner, he was missing in action. He'd gone to war, he'd gone fighting, and he went missing in action. It wasn't known if he was alive or dead, and nobody was able to confirm one way or the other. She went to see a medium. The medium got information, said, oh yeah, I've definitely got him here. He's in the spirit world. He's dead. The lady went away from that. She then started another relationship. She got married to another man. It turned out her boyfriend, her partner, was in a prisoner of war camp. And it turned out a year or two later he was released. He came back. He came to find his beloved, probably the woman who'd kept him going through the most darkest, difficult times of his life, only to find she's got a different life with a different husband, all created through a medium. Think of the pain and suffering that creates, all through a medium. So for me, whatever I feel, when I feel certain things, I always write it down. I've demonstrated to myself I'm wrong many times. So I would never, ever categorically state somebody is in the spirit world. So we have to have those responsibilities. We have to have those strong ethics. We have to recognize the pain that our words can create. So we have to be very, very, very careful how we do this work. We have to be very careful what we're saying. So if you get information about somebody and the person says, as far as I'm aware, they're still living, never place them within the spirit world. So yes, I hope that gives an answer to the question, can a medium link with the living? Yes, absolutely, in those specific circumstances. When they're close to passing, if they're in a coma, if they've got advanced dementia or Alzheimer's that's affecting their brain, and if there's a significant brain injury or syndrome where they struggle to communicate and operate within this world. In that case, I believe the spirit is freed up to communicate. Can we link with the living beyond those circumstances? For me, my jury is out. I wait to be convinced. Some people will say they can, some people will say they can't. For me, I have an open mind. I keep an open mind to the possibility of it. But I've not had that happen to me yet that I can categorically say, yes, I link with the living outside of those circumstances. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope my answers give you some food for thought. I hope you find it beneficial, and I look forward to the next one. Thank you. If you found this video helpful, then do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.